Up next, we've got some thoughts on the Steam version of Terraforming Mars.
All right, last Thursday, I already mentioned this. The entire Bellhop team, Deanna, Sean, and I decided to live stream a game of Terraforming Mars played through Steam. Um, Based on our experience last Thursday, I thought it'd be worth sharing our thoughts because I think people I need to know. I just feel like before you buy this, I think you're going to want to hear what we have to say. So we're going to share some thoughts on this digital game. Now, this digital version of Terraforming Mars was released on Steam just about a year ago on October 17, 2018. It's published by Asmodee Digital. This is the official adaptation of Terraforming Mars. There are other ones out there that are unofficial. There's multiple apps that attempt to be Terraforming Mars. This is the official licensed version. It costs about $22 full price Canadian. I'm not sure what it is in the US, but when I checked the Steam store earlier, it was over 22 at full price. But as usual with everything on Steam, there'll be a sale. There's always a sale.
Absolutely. And I think uh, the upfront, it's overpriced at
Yeah.
$20, which may be strange because, the board game is way more than $20. But I remember that you have to have a copy for every
Every
single person.
player.
The family, you can't family game it. So if I
No.
buy a copy, my wife and kids can't play it if I'm playing it at the same time. So we can't play together.
Yes.
We all need our own copies. So now a four-player
Mm-hmm.
game is costing you, $88, which is
$88.
way more than going out and buying the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was a surprise to us. So we tried to use the Steam family deal, which I didn't even know Steam had. So thanks, Sean, for pointing that out. We're like, oh, sweet, I can share my entire library as long as we play at different times. Now, what I didn't try with this is if you can do like the pass and play,
right,
if you each had a copy, but
more than likely pass and play would work.
or
But
not pass, but you know what I mean,
yeah,
the turn based.
yeah. But I think
But you
I think it
can't
would be
both have
pass and
it
play.
running.
It would be pass and play because you would literally have to use one copy on one computer and swap chairs, I believe.
No, that's what I'm wondering is
Um,
if we could start an online game and she could log in and play her turn, then log out, and I could log in and play my turn on my PC. Because the thing is, you can't do is you both
right.
can't be logged in at once.
Possibly, although I would have to say that would be even more painful than what we experienced
Yes,
last
it would be more
Thursday.
painful than what we did. So, all right. So
Let's start with the
we'll,
good. Let's start with the good
yeah,
parts. I have
we'll
to
do
say, there
the
really
fried
are,
sandwich.
despite what we've said about the price, there really are some fantastic aspects of this
Yeah,
game.
like this is I would almost say perfectly accurate representation of the board game. You have the board, you have all the cards. The cards look like the cards. They have the card art. To be honest, it's a better looking version because like it's animated and you get to see the cities get built and
Yeah, I have the
it's so
graphics. The graphics, they have gone above and beyond anything they would need to do to make
yeah.
this a solid board game reproduction. They've actually gone that next step and made it a decent looking graphical game.
Yeah.
You can zoom in to a
Hmm.
ridiculous level and see like details within the cities and the animation of the water, assuming you've got
Yep.
your video card handles the full quality, the ripples on the water and the reflections on the water are great.
Hmm.
So I mean, you are getting a really fantastically looking game, and that goes for the cards and
Yep.
the instructions on the cards as well.
Now, I will admit, if you don't like the art in Terraforming Mars, which lots of people don't, it's not improved here.
There
It's
you
the
go.
card art from the game.
Yep.
I personally never had a problem with the stock photo art. It's fine, I think, for what the game is. Um, what I got to say though is it's got a. They do a very good job at being able to see everything you need to see, but not be able to see it at once. And I just don't think you could do it better. But man, it's a little difficult at
Well,
times.
I have to
Like
say,
it's all there, you
yep.
can find it all, and once you learn where they are, it's almost logical where it is. But it just you can't have everything in front of you at once.
Yeah.
Whereas a board game, everything's just laid out. It's all there.
And I understand what they've done. My biggest problem isn't as much your information because I think if you get into a flow, it becomes a little more natural because you don't need to see everything all at once. And if you've got your flow going, you can go, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my effects and I'm going to do my actions and I'm going to check my effects and I'm going to play these cards and everything is accessible and works that way. My problem is more the fact, and I know D is bothered by this sort of thing as well. You can't easily glance over at other people's stuff. It's all there.
Mhm.
You can look at everyone else's stuff, but it's weird the way it works. And sometimes you'll be looking for a tag to see if someone's got a tag, and you'll be looking and you can't figure out why it isn't there until finally you realize that you're looking at the wrong player. Because
Yeah.
you thought you clicked somewhere and you
You
didn't,
almost
or it automatically swapped a character for you while you weren't looking, and so that's a little on the frustrating side.
yeah, it has I would call it focus. So you basically can click on what player you're focusing on.
Yeah,
But then when it switches game states, so if I'm focused on Sean, but he finishes his turn, it'll sometimes shift.
yeah,
And that's where you get lost. You're like, oh, wait, because Sean finished his turn, it's now focused on me. And it's not always obvious who you're focused on.
no, it's not.
And I gotta admit, it's nice, like, to be able to click on tags and see all the tags
Yep,
is awesome. Like not having to count up my cards for my own stuff,
yep.
and to be able to go, oh, who has plants? I then have to click on each of the players and look at it. I would be really nice if that tags tab just showed you all the players.
Yeah, there's
Like
no
it only
reason.
needs a max of 5. Like there's no reason I should
Yeah,
have to
there's no
change my
reason there couldn't
focus,
be. So
right? Like and especially the tags because that matters for so many things in
yeah,
Terraforming Mars.
absolutely. Even if nothing else did that, the tags feature could,
Yeah,
yours are right on top, and then you scroll down and it's the next player and the next player and the next player.
or even just column.
Yeah,
Here's a column for each of the players, right? And the other problem, we mentioned the graphics. One of the things is this does not look like you're laying tiles, which is kind of nice. But the other thing is because they're not tiles, you can't always tell what they are.
yeah. Well,
So that
water
ends
is
up
actually
being a
yeah, water is actually a big problem. It's the cities are a problem. I know you're talking about cities, I think,
yeah,
because you can't tell whether it's a city or an
a city or a
industrial,
special tile.
one of the special industrial tiles or capital or whatever. One of the things I ran into a problem was counting the water tiles, because they build this beautiful ocean linking all of the tiles, but because they're linked and pretty
Yeah.
graphically, it's not always as obvious because they kind of distort the hexes when they
Mhm.
do it. So
Although
is it
there is
six
a
water or
counter that
seven
just shows
water?
you.
There
There
is.
is a counter that tells you it's underneath the oxygen and the heat.
Yeah,
It's again, it's there, but it's finding the info,
yeah, yeah.
right? So there's a nice counter that says 6 out of 9 oceans have been
But
played
I
or
mean,
whatever. So it is there, but
but everyone's used to looking at the board and saying, "Oh, look, there's
yeah,
six oceans," and you look at the board and you
yep,
say, "Is that six or is that seven oceans?" I'm not sure.
yeah, yep.
So that's one of the other ones.
And
Uh,
then, like we were talking about, the different cities. So if you use the ephemeral, or you use the cupola city, or you use the mining rights, right? All those the 10 special tiles that come in the base game are all represented by neat 3D graphics.
yeah,
But man, some of those look the same as the city tiles.
yeah,
And Deanna had a solid problem where she's like, I have a tile that says place it between two cities, and I can't.
right,
And I actually had to go over and look at her computer and see it and go, no, no, the reason you can't do that is that's not a city. That's actually a mine.
yeah,
Meanwhile, it's this kind of bunch of square buildings with a smokestack with smoke coming out of it. It kind of looks the same.
yeah.
So that
The only
that
real
part's definitely
difference,
bad.
on that one was the smoke. And
Yep.
if you weren't paying attention and didn't see the fact that there was, industrial smoke coming out of that one and not the other ones,
Hmm.
yeah, you wouldn't know. And there's no reason they can't be color coded. A
Oh, exactly.
white for the capital, gray for the cities, blue for industrial, red for,
Whatever.
make
Yeah.
it wildly colored. Still
So
keep the
personally,
pretty graphics.
what I would like is be able to like hit tab and see the tiles.
Yeah, yeah,
Like make it look like the
yeah,
board
or
game.
hold down Alt.
Like don't
A
hold yeah,
common one
hold
is like
down
hold
alt
down
or
Alt and
something
everything shifts back to a
back
different
to
view.
tiles that look exactly like the board game. That
Yeah,
would be
no,
nice.
absolutely, that would be a fantastic addition. Now you're saying you're worried about ants being broken.
All right, that's get to that. So the ants card has now been looked it up. Ants, and it's any card where you get something for consuming something. Now this goes back to the FAQ, where we went through the FAQ, where generally if something has a red border, it's optional whether you do it or not. But it's not true if it's a requirement. So ants require you to eat a bacteria to get an ant token. In the game, it let me eat a science cube.
Hmm,
So it let me eat any token. So it's a known issue. It's been reported by people.
okay.
They pointed it out. It's out there. But the fact that card's broken made me wonder what other cards might be broken. If there's other cards that aren't working right now, from what I hear, this game was terrible in October 2018. Like it was almost unplayable.
Yeah, no,
And
the reviews of
like
it
I've
from the
heard some
early days
really
are
bad.
very, very unkind.
Yeah, very, very negative. So we're not happy with this when it came out. So they are constantly fixing it. Which does lead us to something else that it doesn't look like any of the expansions are coming, but I can't say anything either way. Asmodee is really bad for releasing an app and then just letting it rot, basically. So that may happen. Back to some positive things. This tutorial is good. It's solid. It teaches you to play Terraforming Mars. It teaches you how to play this version, which is mainly about where to click. Which I don't mind that. It was pretty good. It takes a bit to go through. Like if you played Terraforming Mars, like all right, come on. Um, Single player, I had a great time playing this game, but man, the AI is weird. But the AI just makes me think I stink at Terraforming Mars. Like having played over 50 times, you wouldn't think I stink at Terraforming Mars. But like when I play the AI, they do not play the way any human I have ever played with plays. They are in a huge rush to do standard projects to Terraform Mars, which I someday am going to sit down and try as a strategy because it seems to work for the AI.
Well, what I see is, and I know you haven't played this way, is I've played the solo game, the actual the
See
actual
that I haven't
the
done.
actual all you get 14 generations, and
Mhm.
you have to terraform Mars or you lose. And I've played that a couple of times now, and I believe in my experience that's what they're playing. So even when they're playing the group game,
Against
they're
you.
playing as if they were playing a
Terraform
solo
as quick
game
as
where
possible.
you've got 14 generations to terraform Mars and you're rushing to terraform.
Yeah,
And I suspect, just sort of thinking about
the
things and
AI they're
listening,
using.
that may be how they've optimized the AI, which is a choice. I mean, it's not like the
I
AI
gotta
isn't
admit,
beating
like
us. It's,
yeah, they were winning my first couple games because I was so not used to how they played.
yeah,
Um, I don't know, the interface is okay. Like the weird part is some stuff's hidden, right? So Deanna's in the chat right now, and she makes a good point that it is time consuming to look at other people's stuff, to have to change the focus, then you have to click on the tags, then you have to find the one you want, and then if you want to compare it to your card, you then have to change the focus back to you. Then you have to open your hand, and by the time you've done that, you're like, wait, did they have 6 or 7 tags? And maybe you got to go back, right? Like, and to be honest, everything you do in that game just takes too long.
yeah,
Like compared to the physicality of I have 4 cards in my hand, I pick one and I play it and I do the thing. It's like, okay, I got to open up all my cards. I got to click on the card I want to do. Then I got to click I want to play the card. Okay, now I have to click whether I want to spend steel or titanium. Then I have to actually hit play. And then sometimes, but not always, it'll then ask you to confirm again.
yeah.
Now, all of this would make sense if there was an undo button, and there is not an undo button. And why the hell isn't there an undo button? Because so many times I misclick something.
Yeah.
So, one of the other things in the game that I really hated was you can drag the map around, which is, to be honest, kind of pointless. So, there's no real reason to be able to drag the map around, but you can. And I tried to drag the map and instead place something, and I did not want to place it. I was clicking to drag, not click to place, and I didn't realize that at the time the game was at the point where it wanted me to pick a spot. So I placed a greenery tile where I didn't want to place it, and there's no undo. I'm just like, oh, I'm stuck. I guess oh well, I planted a tree there. And of course, that was one where it didn't confirm. Do you want to place a tree here? Because I honestly don't know why. Sometimes it asks you confirm, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and what makes this even worse? Again, not only are they asking you to confirm things that you can't undo, but they're asking you to confirm things without undo when you are playing essentially your turn on your own. There's no
Mm-hmm.
overlapping. And this is, I think, really what the worst of the problem that we ran into when we played as a group was. We played for 5.5 hours, I
Five and
think,
a half hours for a
for a
three-player
simple
game.
three-player game without expansions.
Yes,
Um,
players who all know how to play
Yeah, and I mean now
too. Like,
to be completely honest, there was distraction. We weren't, 100% always focused. Critical Role was taking some of our attention, but
yeah,
I mean, we weren't, going away from the table. We were just occasionally being a little distracted from things. But the fact that you can't fully prepare your turn so that when it becomes your turn, you're playing boom, boom, boom. Um, it's just, you know, we should all be playing together essentially,
yeah,
and then when it's your turn, you say click OK to finish because you've
yeah.
planned it all out, and whatever they didn't change your turn, so you're just going ahead, and we could have been done in an hour and a half instead of 5.5.
Yeah, and the other thing the game does too is while I'm taking my turn, everyone else sits and watches.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah, watches.
They
Yeah,
just
they don't
watch
watch you
their
play.
screen.
They watch
They
nothing.
just watch the screen say waiting for player
So
two or whatever.
even though Mo placed a tile that he cannot undo, I don't get to see that tile being placed until he has finished all of
And
his
hit
actions, all of his maintenance, and hit, okay, I'm done.
yeah. And then Sean then has to watch a very slow, though you can adjust it,
Yeah,
animation
there is
of
speed adjustment of
everything
that.
I
Yep.
did, which you can speed that up.
Yep.
But
And
we were live
there
streaming
are a
it, but
couple of little bits you can skip confirmations on within the settings, which would have given us a bit of a boost. But I mean, realistically, that would have taken us to 5 instead of 5.5. I think,
yeah,
maybe at best. It was still
yeah,
painfully long for
painful.
three. Like,
Like,
again, I haven't played the board game many times, but I played the computer game many times, so I'm
and you have
comfortable.
played the board game.
And I have played it, as I've just only ever played it
Yeah,
once. But I have played the video game or the digital version many times, so I'm comfortable with it. D is, an expert at it. I think we would all generally admit. And Mo has played it 40 or 50 times. We know what we're doing. The game just got us. It just took that long.
just it took that long. It was just painful.
If we'd gone out
And
for
then
dinner
like,
in the
oh
middle,
my
I could have
god,
understood.
it got to the point where I had a lot of blue actions. So it would be like, all right, Sean takes his turn. Okay, D takes his turn. Okay, Mo's taking his turn. And it would take a long time. And then they'd pass, and I'd take 8 more turns
Yeah.
because I had so many blue actions. Where if I was playing the physical game, be like, all right, I put a cube here, I do this. I wouldn't have to click end turn, right? I wouldn't have to
Yeah.
pause and then wait
And because
till you
we
guys
all
watch the
passed, you
animation
could have just
my
burned
other
through
thing.
it, just done them
I
all.
could have just burned through. Like here, I do this. I get my microbes. I put my thing here. I do my thing here. While I'm doing that, why don't you guys do production? Right? Like
Yeah.
it's just there's a lot of stuff that could have been done better. But I gotta say, overall, it is a really damn accurate version of the board game. If you want the Terraforming Mars experience, it's there. Ignore the ants; they're working on it. Like there might be a couple little broken things that they're still fixing. I wish you could see the tiles, and I think it's a great play versus the computer experience. And I think it's a solid turn-based hot seat, right? Not even hot seat because I don't want to switch. Go online. I take a turn, and then Sean takes a turn later, and then later in the day I check in and take my turn. Like play by mail, right? Playing online that way seems really cool. But my God, do not play with real people live.
Yep.
Like just don't. Like there's no reason. Like I'm tempted to go in and speed up everything, like absolutely everything, so we don't even get any animations, and
Just to
it's still going to
see
be a 4 hour
how fast we could play it.
just to see how fast we can play it. But like, why? Like,
Yeah. And
and it just there are some stuff to the board game that it's so hard to find all the info. Like, it's so much easier in the game. How many of these tags do you have? Or I can look over,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
when you're sitting at a table, I can see all your player board. I can see what your production is. I can see how many cards you have in your hand. I don't have to ask. I don't have to click 3 times to find out how many building tags you have or how many cards you are holding in your hand or how close you are to getting a milestone.
Yep.
It was painful having to do that switch focus. We only played 3 player. Can you imagine playing 5 and having to look through 5 different players,
Yep.
like list of microbes they have in play at a time? Like that's really easy. I'm playing with real people. Anyone got any microbes?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, you got them on tardigrades. Okay, cool. In this, I'm like, all right, click on purple.
Yep.
Click on tags. Or no, not tags, the other thing. Resources.
Yep.
I forget what they were called.
So
Oh, he doesn't have
realistically,
any.
I think the summary we get to is it is a great implementation of the game. If you want to play one player, either solo or against the AI, it's fantastic. It is a really good way to learn terraforming Mars, I think. I think you'll be a little confused the first time you play against another real player after playing
Yeah.
against the AIs because we
Yeah,
don't know any
'cause they
players who
use
play
projects.
in that particular method. Or we're playing it wrong in real life, but that's a whole different discussion.
Yep.
And then again, as a non-live, turn-based, playing on the internet where you've got 5 days between turns if you want, I think it's
Yeah.
probably great. So our only caveat, other than the potential little problems with ants, is do not try and use the digital version to play a live real-time game. You will be upset.
Yeah. I second that. I agree.
So those are our thoughts on the Steam version of Terraforming Mars from Asmodee Digital. Have you played this version of Terraforming Mars? What did you think? Let us know through social media or email mo@tabletopbellhop.com. You can find this review over on our blog at tabletopbellhop.com.
You can find reviews like this one
Yes.
over on our blog because I haven't actually written this up.
That
I do
too.
plan on writing it
All
up.
right.
Maybe, probably.